Good morning, my dear students. I welcome to all of you to this session of refrigeration and air conditioning. Dear student, myself Dhiraj Mondul, Assistant Professor, Department of Mechanical Engineering, JIS College of Engineering, Kolani. Today we are going to discuss about the duct design and air distribution system, part 2. This is your lecture number 34 under module 5. So, and this subject is basically dedicated for third year, fifth semester, third year student. So let us start. Last class I have discussed the what is duct and what are the different components of the distribution system: supply air duct, supply air outlet, return air outlet, return air duct. We classified the duct system: high velocity duct and low velocity duct. Then we have seen the shape of the duct, and what we have concluded that we to get a very efficient duct we can use circular shape duct, most compact in shape, and material used is less, but to design and do manufacture this duct it is very difficult. But in case of square shape duct or rectangular shape duct, most common shape is the rectangular shape duct, and for low velocity duct, this kind of duct we are using mainly we are using square shaped duct system, and because it is user friendly. And aspect ratio also discussed. The aspect ratio is the ratio of long side to the short side of the duct. So in case of square, what is the aspect ratio? That is 1, because square is all the sides are same. Okay, now today we will be discussing about the duct material. The duct material okay, so the duct material and usually it is made of some material like galvanized iron sheet metal, and aluminum sheet metal, or black steel. Okay, so in air conditioning system, the galvanized sheet metal is the most commonly used duct material, since the zinc coating of this metal prevents rusting and avoids the painting cost. Okay, so that is why we are using this zinc coating or the galvanized sheet metal. Okay, the sheet thickness of galvanized iron. So galvanized iron means GI. You know that in your home you have seen the GI rod, GI your play. You can see that in a grill, to make a grill or shutter you can use the GI iron. Okay, so GI is the galvanized iron. Okay, GI duct varies from the 26 gauge, that means your 0.55 mm to 16 gauge, that is your 1.6 mm. So 0.55 to 1.6 mm, it is your GI galvanized iron, the thickness. The aluminum sheet is used of its lighter weight and resistance to moisture. You will see that the moisture, if it is coming to the contact of moisture, in case of aluminum sheet, it is basically lighter, as well as it is resisting the moisture, that means rusting and all this. Okay, now the black sheet metal is always painted unless it is withstand high temperature. Okay, and also stainless steel is also used in special application of the maximum resistance to moisture, and the non-metal duct are also finding increased application nowadays. You can see non-metal duct is also we are using. Okay, the resin bonded glass fiber duct are also duct are also used, because they are quite strong and easy to manufacture according to the desired shape and size. they find use in low velocity application less than 600 meter per minute, and for static pressure below 5 of water gauge. The cement asbestos, so resin bonded glass fiber we are using. The resin bonded glass fiber we can use as the duct material. So these resin bonded glass fiber duct are used because they are quite strong, and also it is easy to manufacture according to the desired shape and size. And they find use in low velocity application less than 600 meter per minute, and for static pressure below 5 of water gauge. Okay, we can use also cement as asbestos. Cement asbestos duct may be employed for underground air distribution and for exhausting corrosive materials. Okay, so these are the non metal duct which we can use here: resin bonded glass fiber and cement asbestos. Okay, another one non metal duct we can use, that is your wooden duct. Okay, so wooden duct are suitable for places where moisture content in air is not large in quantity. If the moisture content are there, then it will not be suitable for the duct material. So the wooden duct are suitable for the places where moisture content in air is not large in quantity. Okay, a duct, basically the duct used for air conditioning, are generally of rectangular low pressure category. At this calls for only simple joining method. For medium and high pressure duct sheet steel are extensively used for strength and rigidly to withstand the higher static pressure. So these are the non metal duct and metallic duct. We can use aluminum, black sheet, stainless steel like this, or galvanized iron, that is your GI iron, you can say GI plate. Okay, so like this we can use this part. Now the duct construction. Let us discuss about the duct construction. The duct made of steel sheet, steel metal expand and contract when heated and cooled. So do you know that because of the thermal expansion, the duct is generally okay. So because of the thermal expansion, the sheet metal expand and contract when heated and cooled. In cold region, or in rainy season, or in summer season, or in winter season, you will see that there is some expansion and contraction in the sheet metal, and the movement is absorbed by fabric joint oftenly. The fabric joint also should also be used where duct fastened to a furnace or an air conditioner. But in fact most duct joints are made of sheet metal. And it is basically shows the various types of sheet metal joints used in the construction of duct. The insulation is fastened to the duct with adhesive or metal clip. For longer duct, the duct under high pressure, the duct reinforcement, as shown, as you can see in this figure, you can see there is a lot of duct. Now in this portion, the bend, you can see the bend. There are lot of types of duct, like your group seam duct, drive slip joint. Okay, lot of joint we can observe in the duct. So grouped seam, drive slip joint, flat joint. Okay, then double seam corner joint, then standing seam, riveted joint, slip joint, that is your bracing action. Okay, bracing action, you can see that. Then the Pittsburgh hammered lock seam, then pocket joint, it is called bracing action also. And cup joint. So these are the joints, these are the construction of the ducts. So these are the joints, other than this, bar slip joint also we have seen, that is your riveted, we can see the riveted joint or bar slip joint. Also we have seen that riveted seam joint, okay, and pocket joint also riveted with bar slip, and also channel type slip, channel type seam, and reinforced duct. So these oftenly we observe, we see. So these are the sheet metal duct joint, okay. See, summarily these are some following items and some points about the duct system, we can are which are worth nothing. The velocity of air in the duct to kept reasonably low, so that the frictional loss and noise level are minimized. The route of the duct should be as direct as possible for limiting the length of the duct and to minimize the frictional losses. Next, we can say that for changing the direction, long radius smooth bend should be used when a sharp right angle turn is inevitable. Turning vanes may be provided proper, and then after that fabricated properly fabricated transformation pieces should be used for construction and expansion in the duct size. As a smooth surface as a smooth surface offers less resistance to the airflow than a rough surface. Galvanized iron or aluminum sheet metal should be used for the fabrication of duct, okay. And if the material are used pressure losses can increase due to the roughness of the surface, and so allowance should be made for this effect when determining the size of the duct. Next point, we can say that rectangular duct aspect ratio should be kept within 4:1, and a higher aspect ratio can also create turbulence. And we need to have some square shaped duct, so that the aspect ratio would be 1:1. And this duct is desirable for better efficiency, okay. So this is all about the construction and the joints, all about the joints and the some points of ducts which basically we need to remember. Now let us discuss about the pressure in ducts. The duct may be classified by mainly 8 types: supply air duct, return air duct, fresh air duct, low pressure duct, medium pressure duct, high pressure duct, low velocity duct, and high velocity duct. Now you need to know some terminology which will be needed to understand the pressure in duct and all these. So first of all, we need to know the static pressure. What do you mean by static pressure? What do you mean by dynamic or velocity pressure? What do you mean by total pressure? That we need to know. So basically there are mainly 3 types of pressure which are involved in the duct system. When the fluid is refrigerated fluid air is flowing from one point to another point, okay. Now what happened, the static pressure can be defined as the static pressure is so called since that it is not depend upon the air movement, okay. So the pressure or stationary, you can say static means your stationary. The static pressure is so called since it does not depends upon the air movement. So and it always exists in the duct system. This static pressure is always exist in the duct system. Now the it pushes when what happened, it pushes against the wall of the duct and tends to burst it when it is greater than the atmospheric pressure and tends to collapse the confining envelope when its force is less than that of the atmosphere. Okay, and it overcomes the friction and friction and shock losses as the air flows from the delivery of the fan to the outlet of the duct, and it may be positive or negative. So static pressure, it may be positive and it may be negative. Now let us talk about the dynamic or velocity pressure. The the dynamic or velocity pressure. Basically, the pressure is equal to the drop in static pressure necessary to produce a given velocity of flow. Conversely, it is equal to the increase of static pressure possible when the velocity is reduced to zero, and it always positive. Okay, so I hope it is clear. The static pressure is it may be it will be always positive, but the your dynamic is dynamic pressure, it will be always positive, but the static pressure, it may be positive, may be negative. What do you mean by your total pressure? The total pressure is the sum of the static pressure and dynamic pressure or velocity pressure. So due to the velocity, whatever the pressure we are getting, that is your velocity pressure or dynamic pressure, and it is equal to the drop in the static pressure necessary to produce a given velocity of flow. And this total pressure, it may be positive, may be negative, depending upon the static pressure. Okay, because velocity pressure always positive. Okay, now you know that continuity equation, the continuity equation and the Bernoulli's equation. The continuity equation is what? The continuity equation is based on the principle of conservation of mass, and it states that as the if no fluid is added or removed from the pipe in any length, then mass passing across different sections shall be same. Okay, now if I am considering two part, so section 1 and let us consider section 2, then let us consider in this duct, in this section 1 and section 2, if I am considering that with respect to the datum line, let us consider a datum line. So if Z1 is the datum line in the section 1, so let us consider this one is your datum line, and this is your Z1 and this is your Z2, like this. Okay, so what happened, the duct and velocity is your c1 at section 1 and c2 at section 2, and considering that this path is totally closed. Now what happened, if this phenomena is occurring, then if I want to take the mass flow rate, that is your mass flow rate is your rho a1 b c rho a1 c1, and mass flow rate at 2 is equal to rho a2 c2. So according to the continuity equation, it will be rho a1 c1 is equal to rho a2 c2. Am I right? So the mass flow rate is constant according to the continuity equation from section 1 to section 2. Now the rho a1 c1 is equal to rho a2 c2 I can write, and a1 c1 is equal to a2 c2 because we are assuming that there is a constant density, that is your density of air is what, 1.2 kg per meter cube. Now a1 c1 is equal to a2 c2, where a is the area cross sectional area of the duct 1, and c1 is the velocity and in the duct 1, and accordingly a2 and c2 is the respective value. So this is called continuity equation for the air flow through air through pipe, flowing air through pipe, and we can write that if this one position and 2 is taken here. Okay, so in this position what we are considering, if this is your section 1 and this is your section 2, this is your section 3, then at that time we can write the m1 is equal to m1 M1 is equal to M2 plus M3. So that means the mass flow rate here is equal to mass flow rate here plus mass flow rate here, or you can say mass flow rate here M1 is equal to M2 plus M3, this part. Okay, so this is how we can write that Q1 is equal to Q2 plus Q3, that is your discharge. And the Bernoulli's equation, you know that Bernoulli's equation in an ideal incompressible fluid, when the flow is steady and continuous, the sum of pressure energy, kinetic energy and potential energy or datum energy is constant along the streamline, and mathematically we can write P by rho g or P by W plus C square by 2g plus Z is equal to constant, where P by P by W or rho g is equal to what? Pressure energy. V square by 2g is equal to, or C square by 2g is equal to kinetic energy, and Z is the datum or elevation energy. Now by the help of the Bernoulli's equation, we can describe the value, we can describe this duct system, the static pressure and velocity pressure. So basically P by rho g, if this P by rho g, it is divided, if it is multiplied by rho g, then only P plus rho c square by 2g plus zz will be constant, and after that this P is equal to static pressure, and P rho 1 c1 square by 2g is the 2g is the your velocity head velocity pressure due to velocity, and P1 rho z, it is P1 rho 1 z z1 is the due to potential energy, the pressure here. Okay, so the static pressure and the datum head, as the datum head is same in the 2 point, so that static pressure plus rho c1 square by 2g, that is called your velocity pressure. So static pressure velocity pressure at section 1 is equal to static pressure and velocity pressure at section 2. So this is how we can say the Bernoulli's equation, it is following, and the total static pressure and velocity pressure. So the total dynamic velocity pressure and total pressure in the section 1 is equal to section 2. Okay, now if I'm talking about the total pressure, then it is equal to PS1 plus PS2 PV1, or is equal to PS2 plus PV2. So this is this is all about the static pressure, velocity pressure and total pressure. Now the pressure loss in duct, we can say that what are the pressure loss in the duct. So the pressure loss in the duct, it is of two types: frictional loss due to friction and dynamic loss. Okay, so dynamic loss and frictional loss. So frictional loss means when air flows in duct, there is a loss of pressure due to friction between the moving particles of air and interior surface of a duct. When the loss of pressure occurs in a straight duct, it is usually termed as friction loss. When the pressure is lost dynamically at the change of direction, such as in bends, elbow, etc., and at the changes of cross section of the duct, the pressure loss is usually termed as dynamic loss. The pressure loss due to the friction in duct is basically the loss of pressure due to friction in duct may be obtained by the Darcy formula, and that formula is equal to Pf is equal to F L rho A C square by 2m or 4 FL B square by 2gd. So that is the Darcy-Weisbach formula, and here the rho F is what? Pf is what? Pressure loss due to friction, and F is equal to friction factor, and it depends on the surface of the duct, and L is the length of the duct, and C is the mean velocity of the air flowing through the duct, and M is the hydraulic mean depth. What do we mean by hydraulic mean depth? It is the ratio of cross sectional area of the duct to the weighted perimeter of the duct. So the PF is equal to FL by M rho A C square by 2, and after simplifying this equation we will be getting the value like PV is equal to C by 4.04 whole square mm of water, and PV and the PF it will be F into L by M into C by 4.04 whole square mm 4.04 whole square mm of water. So the hydraulic mean depth for circular duct, it can be calculated that hydraulic mean depth is equal to area by weighted perimeter. Area is equal to pi by 4 d square for circular duct, and by perimeter, weighted perimeter is equal to pi d. So pi by 4 d square by pi d is equal to d by 4. Rectangular duct of side A and B, we can calculate m is equal to a by p. So AB by 2 into a plus b is the rectangular duct of side A and B. So this is how we can calculate the hydraulic mean depth, and the friction factor for duct also we can calculate for laminar flow. The friction factor is equal to 16 by Reynolds number, and for turbulent flow F is equal to 0.3164 by Reynolds number. So this is your now what do you mean by Reynolds number? It is defined as the ratio of inertia force to viscous force, and it is dimensionless. So inertia force by viscous force, inertia force is equal to rho a c square by, and viscous force by mu, and viscous force is c by d. Okay, so basically when you are solving this, then we will be getting cd by nu or rho vd by mu. Okay, so this is your Reynolds number, inertia to viscous force, the ratio of inertia to viscous force, Reynolds number. If this Reynolds number is less than 2000, then it will be called flow is laminar or viscous. If the Reynolds number is greater than 4000, then the flow will be called turbulent flow. If the Reynolds number is between 2000 to 4000, then the flow is unpredictable and it will be called in transition state. That means it is moving towards laminar to turbulent. Okay, so by the help of the Reynolds number, we can calculate, or we can say that whether the fluid is in turbulent or whether the fluid is in laminar in nature. What do you mean by laminar flow? Laminar flow is basically a flow where the fluid particle following a parallel path, well defined path, and the fluid particle is moving smoothly without any kind of very less amount of frictional loss. Okay, but in case of turbulent flow, the fluid particle is following a zigzag path, and one layer of the fluid is gliding over another adjacent layer, and as a result we will be seeing that there is some eddies formation, and because of that eddies formation, the frictional dissipation will be there, so the loss will be there, and as a result the pressure energy will be it will be converted into heat energy, or temperature will raise. So in the when the fluid is flowing from from pipe through the pipe, then initially when it is entering into the pipe and it is coming out of the pipe, if you measure the temperature of in the section initial and the section 1 to 2, whatever the end point and the starting point, you will see that there is some temperature difference, and that is because of the frictional dissipation or frictional head loss. So due to the pressure energy is converted into heat energy or intermolecular. So this is all about the turbulent flow. So I hope it is clear. This is the loss due to friction. Next class we will be discussing the dynamic loss and all this, and also we will be discussing the cooling load estimation, principle of heat, method of heat transfer, conduction, convection, radiation process will be discussed, measuring heat quantity, Then what is BTU, British Thermal Unit, sensible versus latent heat. Okay, so these will be discussed in the next class, and after that we will be discussing the human comfort, thermal comfort. Okay, factors affecting human comfort, indoor design condition, the psychometric chart. Based on the psychometric chart, I will be discussing the indoor design condition, the cooling load estimation procedure, cooling load components. Then your cooling load components here, some graph. By the help of this graph, it will be discussed that what is the peak cooling load. Okay, and the example of office room, outdoor design condition, heat conduction through surfaces. Then your conduction through a shaded wall, also it will be discussed, U factor. So lot of thing has to be discussed in the upcoming classes. I hope you are enjoying the session, you are enjoying the lecture. U factor for wall. Okay, so this will be discussed, and today up to this. Thank you for listening. Jai Hind.